the finals of the Massachusetts 2016 VGC Regional Championships. I'm joined here by Chuppa.
Hi.
Who you guys just saw on stream, and we're really excited to feature one of the top quality. This is a matchup for the ages.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's great to see Enosh doing so well again. You probably talked about this already, but Enosh's history with the game is largely a few years in the past, but when he was playing, he was always doing really well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there's a message there. I can't actually
Oh man,
read.
another one.
But before we actually get into the match, just some quick VGC history. Paul is the 2013 Seniors National Champion. Enosh got second at Nationals that year. Not in Seniors, though, in Masters. Paul has qualified for Worlds, I believe, every year since 2012, and Enosh qualified for Worlds in 2012, 2014. 2011, 2013, and 2014. He finished 4-2 in 2014 and finished in the top 8 in 2013.
Yeah, I think he barely missed cut in...
He's 12th or 13, somewhere around
there. Yeah,
that
somewhere
range.
around there. Then in 13, he actually made the cut and lost to Ben Gold in top 8. Yeah.
Yep. And then he got top 4 actually all the way back in 2011. So, clearly 3 such strong performances.
The only player he lost to was Sajin, right? Or was it Cams?
He lost to... who was it? I think it was Cams in top 4. But either way, I mean, to have top cut Worlds twice and to have finished X2 or better at all the World Championships.
And this is Paul's third finals this season. He got one every, in fall and winter, now here.
That's crazy, actually.
Yeah,
so Paul, having played at Worlds multiple times as well, I can't remember his best Worlds finish. Maybe it was a top 8.
He might have broken into top 4 at some point, but yeah, top 8 at least once, I'd like to say.
Yeah, so this is Paul's third regional finals. He won the last one he went to all the way back in Virginia, and we've started the match already. But Paul's team is Kangaskhan, Smeargle, Cresselia, Salomon, Xerneas, and Groudon. Enosh is running Ferrothorn, Weavile, Groudon, Rayquaza, Kangaskhan, and Cresselia. So, this is a pretty interesting matchup because Paul's just, modified the Big 6 variant that he's been using for so long.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised that he changed. I remember when I talked with him in Virginia, he was kind of adamant about, Timid Groudon, which a lot of us are kind of veering away from for this, bulkier Adamant set. It's a little bit slower, but it takes hits better, does a bit more damage back.
So for the lead matchup, we see the Weavile and the Groudon on Enosh's end against Xerneas and Salamence. And Weavile is a pretty cool Pokemon to have against both of these Pokemon because you have Fake Out Pressure, obviously, but you also have Ice Cold Crash to threaten the Salamence and knock off.
Yeah, it's not like it can do a lot to the Xerneas, but it can take off the Power Herb, which is, the thing that really makes Xerneas scary.
Yeah.
It can also just knock out Salamence in one shot, which is pretty devastating here.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you're Paul, you might be like, oh, that's great, I get an Intimidate off against Groudon, but as we've seen, Enosh's Groudon is fully special, so that Intimidate doesn't mean anything against it. So the Salamence is going to Mega Evolve, and we're actually going to see the Fake Out, not the Ice Cold Crash or the Knockoff coming out there. And Xerneas goes for the Geomancy, so we could have seen a Knockoff Flameswell Xerneas there, but Paul's like, nah, I'm just going to Geomancy, and he gets the Geomancy off, and that's huge. Geomancy, just getting that boost is so helpful, especially when your opponent has a special Groudon.
Yeah, Paul just has an enormous leg up at this point.
And, that's the kind of player Paul is. He just goes all in on his reads. He has, full confidence in it, and Eruption there still does a very comfortable vibe.
Yeah, a lot of us have been using bulkier Xerneas recently, but you can tell by the damage that is not particularly bulky Xerneas. The HP as well. The fact that it moved before the Groudon.
Exactly. And now it's still kind of weird, right? Because sure, Paul got the Geomancy up, but Weavile, most likely carrying Focus Sash, will be able to survive this Dazzling Gleam. If you could get maybe an Ice Cold Crash out.
Yeah, if it attacks Mence, it's going to go down.
Yep.
But I don't actually think the Xerneas could go down.
Right,
to
because
the
Eruption, it's taking damage from Dazzling Gleam. But so the question is, do you Ice Cold Crash Xerneas? Obviously not the case here. But, you pick up the knockout there, and your Groudon's going to get an Eruption off. But then the question is still, Xerneas looking pretty strong.
That's one of the drawbacks of Special Groudon. It's just that it can't do too much to Xerneas after it sets up, where if this was a Fire Punch Groudon, Xerneas would have hit the floor there.
Although, with the Intimidate, sometimes that's what helps the Xerneas survive longer. Although I only have 50%, if you're not bulky, decent chance it still picks up the KO. But we do see the Cresselia coming out from Paul's end, and now the question is, does he have Helping Hand? Because if you do, you could go, Helping Hand.
Yeah, probably just pick up a double knockout.
Yep.
It's not like Enosh would really want to switch here, but if this isn't Helping Hand, I'm a little bit confused by that. Cresselia just doesn't seem to have the same control options that something else might.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and we're going to have to see here. As, wow, he actually goes for the feint, which actually makes a lot of sense. Just go for
a bit of chip on your way out.
And we actually don't see the helping hand come out from Cress, so if Enosh didn't protect Groudon there, he actually could have picked up the knockout onto Xerneas with Feint and Earth Power.
Yeah.
As an Ice Beam just comes out. Interesting.
I guess it would have finished the job on the Dazzling Gleam, but Xerneas would have had to take a hit first, and Earth Power probably knocking it out.
Right. And so, you know, Enosh, they're protecting the Groudon to play it safe, see what moves Cresselia has. You know, is it going to go for a helping hand? But Paul might be running, like, you know, one of the speedier Cresselias that we've seen. Maybe he doesn't know that the Groudon on Enosh's end is actually max speed. But this actually ends up being a pretty good position. I'm not sure if Extreme Speed actually has a decent chance of knocking it out.
It's funny, Enosh, like, never used Extreme Speed against me, but I'm sure he has the option. Every Rayquaza does.
And, you know, he's not boosted by a Life Orb or a Choice Band. But then again...
He only needs to do 25%.
Right, like, the Xerneas does not look very bulky. Does it survive? This will be huge.
Oh, no way it survives.
Okay, yeah.
Even if that was bulky Xerneas, I don't think it could have.
Yeah, I think sometimes I just underestimate the power of Mega Rayquaza. You know, normally you just see the boosting item there.
Oh, crit. I was going to say, that did a lot for a Groudon that is around half health. It doesn't actually have a Sun boost, even though it's single target.
So we see the Eruption, we get the Trick Room up there on Paul's end, as Paul brings in his own Groudon. It's a pretty good Pokemon to bring out. You know that Enosh's Rayquaza, one of the ways that deals with opposing Groudons is you go for Waterfall, but
yeah,
he can't do that right now.
I wonder if Enosh really needed to Mega Evolve last turn. If he could have kept the Airlock up, Mega this turn instead, I think it's actually going to be hard for Paul to KO the Rayquaza here because he needs the Gravity to hit with Groudon and Assault Vest, so Ice Beam won't do too much.
Right. But, you know, that's a great point. I think Enosh was just like, I'm not sure if regular Rayquaza's Extreme Speed knocks out Xerneas. So
yeah,
Mega Evolve
this isn't like a terrible position for him. It's just like potentially not as good as it could have been.
Right. But the Trick Room here is really big. Rayquaza does get access to a bunch of strong moves. I'm not sure if either can actually one-hit KO the Cress or Groudon from the ranges they're at. So like you said, what Paul can do is actually just go for the Gravity Press his Blaze play.
Yeah.
And with Enosh's Groudon being so fast, he's forced to either protect, switch out, or sacrifice it.
Yeah, what could Enosh have in the back here? We haven't... No, the Rayquaza is Mega, so the Cresselia doesn't seem unlikely. Ferrothorn, potentially.
Both of those obviously being just options. Kangaskhan doesn't really make much sense. I'd be surprised to see it, but who knows. Looks like it is going to be Cresselia, though. Pretty good Pokemon to have here, I think.
Yeah. Ooh, so as long as Paul's Groudon goes first, which it should, that's going to be a knockout in Enosh's Groudon.
Yep.
Some big damage on Crest, too.
So that's going to be a knockout, and Paul, maintaining that really well, setting up the Trick Room. He realizes it's okay if you knock out Xerneas. Xerneas did its job of putting out as much pressure early game as possible. Now I'm going to go for the late game sweep by getting up Trick Room, and I'm going to sweep from there.
Yeah, I think... Oh, it's smart on Enosh's part to kind of reset his weather so he can Waterfall the Groudon so that Ice Beam is affected by Delta Stream against Rayquaza. Yeah, I don't actually think Paul can knock it out this turn.
Well, let's see. I'm curious on how fast the Cresselia on Enosh's end is, because Paul could actually Skill Swap to get the Sun back up. If he's carrying Skill Swap, which typically you see.
I'm not sure how much that would mean to him, though. It's like he has to spend a turn doing that, then Ice Beam with Cresselia next turn.
Wasn't the idea that you Skill Swap and you go for the Precipice Blades here?
Okay. Why would he need to Skill Swap for that, though?
To get the Sun back up.
Oh, yeah, might be.
Right. But we don't see that. We just see a helping hand.
Wow, that did nothing.
I actually, I would have liked to see this, but maybe we're not going to see a Waterfall. Maybe.
Yeah, no, this Rayquaza also has Draco Meteor.
That's true, yeah.
So maybe if Enosh saw that coming, he could just drop a Draco instead.
He did go for the Waterfall.
Helping hand. I think that can. Yeah.
Wow.
Even if it didn't knock out, it would have been extreme speed range.
Right, and that's why I was saying, right, if you Skill Swap, you get the Sun up, you Precipice Blades, and that's a 2-KO on Rayquaza. Rayquaza can't protect, so the Waterfall there, like, if Paul made that play, I think he would have won. I mean, he would have won.
Paul could still win this, though. Enosh's Rayquaza isn't in great... I think it's a question of whether Ice Beam can knock it out or not, because if not, Paul just has a stronger Ice move on his Cresselia, and will just win that way.
That's a great point. Enosh doesn't have any
No,
option.
but Enosh could get an extreme speed on the way out.
Yeah.
I don't actually think he can lose this because of that.
Have we seen Cress's item yet? I don't believe so, right?
No.
It should be a Citrus Berry, or I'm expecting a Citrus.
All
Yeah,
right.
it is a Citrus.
Yeah, it puts Paul back in the race.
Oh, this is actually going to be really tight. Let's see.
Yeah.
Ice Beam coming out. Doesn't knock out the...
I don't think so. Ooh.
Oh, it does!
Yeah, that was like pretty much exactly the same amount it did before, but that looked like it was a little bit more.
Yeah, it was so close. I feel like that might have been a roll. And now we're gonna be in a 7-minute Cresselia versus Cresselia match. But like you mentioned,
at least neither of them have Moonlight. They're probably Paul's is just going to be Ice Beaming, and Enosh is going to be
Icy Winding.
Icy Winding, yeah. And Paul just has the higher DPS essentially.
Right, but the issue is if Enosh, we've seen Enosh run Thunder Wave. If you Thunder Wave the Crest, then you factor in the 75% chance every turn as well. So I think we're actually going to be here for the full 6 minutes.
It depends if Paul can get his attacks off. Is he the one who wants to be taking his time? I guess so.
I think so. You can see he is also making his move slower. Because the thing is, Enosh has more things to do. If you're Paul, you literally just keep on Ice Beaming.
Yeah.
But if you're Enosh, you have to Thunder Wave, and then you have to hope your Icy Winds connect.
I mean, I think he's basically just doing like the same linear thing. Thunder Wave, Icy Wind every turn.
Yeah.
No reason to deviate.
So it's this first turn where Paul's going to get some extra damage, and that Ice Beam was an okay amount. We do see the Thunder Wave coming out.
Yeah.
Enosh realizing, hey, I'm not going to win this 1v1 when I already have lower HP, and you have Ice Beam.
Oh, Twisted Dimensions returning, but Paul's Crest was probably slower already, so the speed might not matter much.
Here's an Icy Wing.
We're going to keep getting slower.
Enosh is going to have to get pretty darn lucky to win this round.
That does nothing.
It does 12 damage there, and Paul's going to be able to attack through. As Enosh exclaims, oh, that did nothing.
Glad he agrees. Does Paul need 2 or 3 more of those?
Probably like 3 or 4, but...
he does have a chance to, like, crit or freeze.
Yeah.
When Icy Wind, like, doesn't...
Enosh says, yeah, we're done, and he just forfeits. Now, I actually would have liked to see him play it out just because we saw Ashton's ridiculous win earlier on stream. But
yeah, what exactly happened there?
Basically, it was... who was it? Ashton was...
Ashton against, Lunar, right?
Yeah,
Chris
Danzo. So Chris was in a phenomenal position, played the game really well. Ashton basically literally needed a triple protect and 3 critical hits and got all 6. So that was ridiculous, but Enosh is just going to give the game to Paul. He said, hey, you know what? I'm going to adjust.
Yeah, I think if Paul took the time on that, maybe could have just guaranteed the win.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was very little, if anything, Enosh could have... Yeah, at that point, it's just Icy Wind versus Ice Beam Paras, but like you said, I think it was basically a guaranteed win for Paul's end.
I think the thing that Enosh needs to change here is actually like dealing with Xerneas a bit more, and I think for Paul, it might be protecting the Xerneas. We saw how much it did last game because the Groudon didn't have bulk, relied on special attacks to damage it.
Yep.
Rayquaza, even with its Assault Vest, shouldn't be taking Dazzling Gleam at +2.
I mean, could you have imagined, though, like, if Enosh went for the knockoff onto the Xerneas right away?
Yeah, that would look pretty silly.
And then you get a Eruption off.
But the Salamence would still be, like, hyper-voicing that turn,
true.
Get the Groudon down to around half.
Right.
It probably would have taken, like, about the same amount of damage from the Eruption.
Yeah. Just another interesting play to consider. But very, very well done on both players' ends there. It looked a little bit scary because of the waterfall play, but it actually ended up working out in, like you said, like, the end game was, Paul's like, I don't care if you knock me out as long as my Ice Beam KOs or Rayquaza. I don't think both players really knew whether the Ice Beam would KO or not.
Yeah.
And it came down to that. But we're going to get into Game 2. If Paul wins this, he's going to take home his 2nd regional championship of the year. If Enosh wins this, it would actually be his very first regional championship, despite being such an accomplished player. But both players, trying to secure another title in their already very distinguished resumes.
Yeah, the last time Enosh placed the regionals was Virginia in 2014, only losing to Ray Rizzo in finals. No shame there.
And the previous region I think he went to before that was at Philadelphia, where he lost to Wolfie Glick in top 4. So, those are some pretty good players to lose to. Actually, those two having been the past 2 winners of this tournament. So we do see the Salamence Xerneas lead from Paul's end with the Cresselia Kangaskhan lead on Enosh's
Yeah, choosing to lead Cresselia on Enosh's end, he probably knew that something similar to what Paul led here was coming out, so I think that Cresselia gives him a bit of an advantage.
Definitely. With the ability to Icy Wind or Thunder Wave, those are both very reliable. Or, excuse me, Icy Wind's really good against Salamence for damage and for the speed control, but Thunder Wave's really good against
But
Xerneas.
because Paul got the Intimidate through his Salamence out on the Kangaskhan, his Xerneas does...
it does get a crit, though. That's a big deal. But like you mentioned, yeah, that Intimidate should have reduced the damage output there of Kang. Ends up not doing it because of the critical hit.
Yeah. Ooh! Yeah, for a move with 95 accuracy, Icy Wind misses way too often.
Icy Wind Crest, I've used it 2012, I've used some in 2013, and 95 accuracy is the worst because it's like, okay, this is literally like the second highest after 100 that we use competitively, and then it misses the more important Pokemon there onto the Salamence. That would have chunked it and brought its speed down so that, you know, Kangaskhan and Cresselia presumably can outspeed it.
So I'm assuming the Salamence might just want a double edge to knock out the Kangaskhan here. Enosh doesn't have great switch-ins to that, but what does the Xerneas want to do? Does it want a Geomancy, accepting that even if it takes another Icy Wind, it's going to be back to neutral speed? I think that would actually be okay, because the Xerneas would still be faster than most of Enosh's Pokemon, since he can't Mega Evolve the Ray.
Right, but here's the thing, right? I was going to say, you have to fear the Thunder Wave, and once the Xerneas gets Thunder Wave, its job becomes 10 times more harder in this format. It does go for the Geomancy, so he is going to have the defense boost, which is always important to consider based off whoever you have in the back in terms of damage output.
Yeah.
But you also have to deal with the 25% chance of not attacking.
Because Enosh chose to Mega his Kangaskhan, I don't even know if he's going to have the Rayquaza in the back. It's possible Rayquaza's not bad without its Mega being up, but it's a little bit less likely. Salamence is still free to just double edge the Kang for a knockout. Xerneas might actually be able to take out the Crest with Moonblast from here. Not before the Cresselia attacks, but still, that would be... Enosh would be staring down like a, 2x.
Yeah, definitely. So, once again, missing that Icy Wind really sets Enosh back a little bit, I think, because it opens himself to... but it opens Paul for some more plays. But he actually makes a Protect play.
Double-edged Salamence. Icy Wind with Crest, not going to do too much to Xerneas. Can Xerneas break through the paralysis here?
Let's see. We said let Thunder Wave would neuter it, but if it attacks through, as it does, that's huge. Gets the Moonblast off against Cresselia. Doesn't knock it out. So close.
And because Enosh has Citrus, the Cresselia is going to be back out of Hyper Voice range.
Wow. Just a sliver of HP there. It was kind of interesting to see the Double Edge going to Salamence there as opposed to Xerneas.
Yeah. It kind of depends on what he has in the back, though.
Right.
Gonna go for Crest? Yeah, make sure it doesn't get an Icy Wind. That's a -1 Kangaskhan. Just can't do too much.
Yeah,
if Xerneas attacks here, it's gonna be 2-4.
Fantastic play there. And that, like you said, that Kang can't knock either of you out right now because of the Intimidate. Gonna need to hope for a critical hit.
Ooh, gonna take it very low, though.
Wow, that was so close. That was more than I expected.
Can Xerneas manage it? Yes!
Some salt from Enosh. I don't even know what he's saying, but I'm just Enosh things.
Yeah, Enosh is a little bit notorious for explaining why his opponent's play might not have been the best one, but yeah.
So it is a 4-2 advantage in Paul's side now, as we actually do see the Rayquaza, so he decided to bring both Kangaskhan and Rayquaza.
Yeah, I think he did that against me in our Swiss games.
A good decision, right? It's so hard to bring Kangaskhan and not end up bringing one of your legendaries.
Yeah.
Even if Rayquaza doesn't get to Mega Evolve.
It's like the Pokemon that he was bringing against me in place of that was Ferrothorn, which just never did much.
Yeah.
In one of our top 4 games, he only used it to knock my Groudon out to Iron Barbs.
Exactly.
Is that worth it as a Pokemon?
Probably not. So the question here is, if you're Paul, you might just want to sacrifice the Xerneas at this point. Just knowing that Rayquaza is...
Yeah, Paul's goal has to be getting Cresselia in Trick Room and Gravity Blades. Oof.
I quote Enosh, that was great, I needed that. That was a crit. I needed that. Thank you, Enosh. We do see the Dragon Descent come out onto the Mence, and the Eruption comes out, but because of all that added damage onto the Groudon, Mence doesn't do very much there.
Yeah.
And Paul's in a pristine position to take home yet another regional championship.
Yeah, Paul just goes into Cresselia here. I don't think he can really lose this.
Something about Enosh hearing this. They've been coming over all day because apparently they can hear whatever. Okay, here's the Extreme Speed coming out.
Pick up. Ooh.
Yeah, that's why. See, that's what I was.
Non-Life Orb, non-Mega Ray, not one of the heaviest damaging Pokemon around. Is Cresselia gonna Trick Room or Ice Beam here?
I think that's
doesn't really matter.
Those are the questions.
All right.
Let's go for the Trick Room, which I like, right? Like.
Yeah, I definitely think that was his better play there.
Wow, phenomenal play by Paul there. He just.
Yeah, Paul's been playing this, like, mostly straightforward, and it just worked out through the raw power of Xerneas.
And Paul Chua is your 2016 Massachusetts Regional Champion. Congratulations to Paul. I'll probably grab him for a quick interview here and then I think we'll be heading out.
That was a really well-played set by him, though. He saw that he didn't need to get particularly fancy, and that worked out perfectly.
I mean, that's why he's one of the best players in the country, in the world, and...
Yeah. Is he going to be first in American CP? No, Jonathan Evans.
Well, yeah, if you exclude Jonathan. I think Paul told me, he was like, yeah, I think Wolf might be 1 point ahead of me, so I don't know how...
Yeah, but Paul has, like, 1-1-2...
And Wolf
has
has
1-1-4.
But then Wolf is 5.
Paul has like great PC finishes though. He got his like 6 wins out right.
I think Paul literally might almost have the maximum amount of points. Like he's like probably like it's ridiculously close.
Yeah, and he even did well in one of the ICs, like 2nd or something.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. This man Paul Chua, aged up from seniors. I think he might have won this event in seniors a couple years ago, if I remember correctly too. In 2013, the year I won, I think Paul won in seniors. I have to double check that with him, but
I think Mr. Fox.
Oh no, he won that one. Maybe he won in 2014. Was he a senior?
Yes, he did. I remember talking with him at that.
Okay. So it's kind of funny that his sister was in the finals in seniors a couple years later.
Yeah, Chua dominance is nothing new. The seniors players know to be afraid of his sister. I think once she ages up, she's going to be, you know, a relatively present force in the region.
They are really darn good at this game.
Yeah.
I think they've overtaken the Zhang Dynasty. It's a shame.
Decline.
No, but congrats to them. That was a beautiful showing. I mean, I was really happy to see Enosh in the finals, too. Just like, he's a legend of the game.
Yeah.
Many of the newer faces don't know him as well, but when I played, I remember back when I was in 2011, 2012, 2013, he was like always the scariest player to go up against because he prepared so hard, and you know, we had pretty even sets, but he was just so good at the game. And,
yeah,
it's nice to see some older face come back.
Yeah, I'm sure Enosh is going to be at Nationals right now.
He will be.
He's probably going to need to do pretty well to lock up his Worlds invite when this is obviously a player playing at Worlds level.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, Enosh is someone who, if he played the whole circuit, would probably be Day 2 Worlds if he dedicated himself.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we can grab Paul quickly.